Man,
Evening.
how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Just had a busy day today with my classes, and then I was taking care of my grandson. So just before this,
Wow,
how
wow.
about you?
Yeah, yeah, things have been good. Things have been good, slowly but surely. We're building the nest, we're building the future step by step. I'm telling myself, if you get one or two things down every day, at the end of the year, it's 365 things times two. It's already starting to be quite a lot of things done. So, for a long time, I've been overloading myself with tasks. And I've been telling myself, putting too much on. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And eventually at the end, you end up crushing yourself on the tasks and you end
Yeah,
up
that's
not
true.
doing. So
That's true.
yeah, the best thing is, you see, I got a big whiteboard here with my yearly tasks. Then I got a smaller whiteboard here with my monthly tasks, and then I got my diary, which is my daily tasks. And I
Okay.
break things down break bigger tasks in smaller tasks to make it more accessible.
Yeah. I mean, that's a way to do it. Otherwise, you basically uh, do too much, and you don't basically pace yourself as well.
Yeah,
Burns you down.
no, it's true.
Yeah, been there.
Oh, I think we've all been there. The think about making mistakes. It's cool. It's okay to do mistakes. That's how we learn. In
Yeah.
fact, we need to make mistakes
Yeah, we
early,
do.
and then we learn from it. And the most important is learning to recognize our mistakes and learn from them.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Exactly.
so,
Exactly.
do you want to introduce yourself and tell our viewers, tell us a bit about yourself, what you do, what you've been, and then I got a series of questions for you, interesting questions that you're going to like.
All right. Okay. So, good evening, everybody. I am Tom Edison Pena. I work as an exercise referral coordinator at the local leisure center, which is a Stephen H. Leisure Center, where basically my main job is to be able to help people who have certain degree of illness or physical disability to be able to be healthy and to live their life much better through exercise, diet, and everything. So I do give advices of what exercise to do, what the things needs to be modified depending on their condition. Okay. I also teach Filipino martial arts and self-defense on the side. Okay, so I run my monthly Saturday training with Lightning Kali Combatives. So my main art is Lightning Scientific Arnis, and I do cross train in other Filipino martial arts, which is Bakbakan Kali and Lameko Astig. Okay, and on the other end of it, or the other end of the spectrum, I also teach dance. So I've been teaching nearly any form of couple dances. So name it Argentine tango, ballroom, Latin, bachata, salsa. So
Wow,
there. So that's why just
you must be
dancing
getting
and martial arts, my yin and yang.
you must be getting the chicks, yeah, with the dance.
Well, yeah, when I was younger, yes.
I've always been told, like, if you want to get the girl, learn how to dance.
Actually, that was one of my motivation before, until basically everything became really serious about dancing. So, um, yeah, I mean that was a funny story how I started there. I When I started working for the university, my former mentor, my former teacher, started opening a social dance club,
Okay.
and she asked me to be the co-moderator of the social dance club. So to me, it was from I said, well, I don't know much about it. Said, don't worry, I'll teach you. All you need to know about it. Okay, that's fine. 3 months after, she retired. So she left the club with me.
So
So I
she
was
was.
like,
Yeah.
what should I do? So I started doing some researches. I started watching videos and everything to be able to uh, to teach them.
Yeah.
And then luckily, about mid 90s, dance sport or international ballroom dancing became popular, which is what you see here as a competitive dancing.
Yeah.
So did everything I could to be able to learn it as quick as I can so that I can basically teach it to my students. So that's when everything now, oh no, it's no longer for me, but for me to be able to teach. That has always been basically my mindset when it comes to learning stuff. I want to learn it as well as I can because I know that at one point in my life, I'm going to pass it on to others.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's
that's how I get into dancing.
nice,
Yeah,
nice.
and then yeah, I do my stuff with FMA discussion, doing some interviews as well, and basically like doing some projects, fundraising
Yeah.
for like grandmasters who are ill. So we always do fundraising for them. Last year, I did a charity fundraiser for to give a club new equipment for sparring. So
Okay.
I managed to raise quite enough money to be able to give them two sets of sparring gear, and no, actually four. So that will be like two sets for the boys, two sets for the girls, and then all the other like accessories. Yeah,
That's very cool, man. So which city were you born in? You think you said it was in Manila.
yeah. It's Manila. I was born in Tondo, Manila. It's one of the roughest place in Manila.
Wow. How was it growing up there?
Sorry,
How was it growing up there?
it's tough. You have to learn how to survive. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, we like for example, I normally walk from about 30 minutes from my home to school, and the you have two choices. You have to go to the main road, which is basically
Yeah.
um, which will add about 10 to 15 more minutes of your time, or you can go to like the alleyways, which is where basically it's going to be where most of like the gangs are,
Yeah.
where muggings are very prominent and everything. So you practically have to learn how to survive there. So even like bullying was really like very much part of it, making fun of what people for whatever reason has been like part of it. So you have to be tough. And yeah, I mean mugging has been is really they
Yeah.
every day you'll encounter it. Somebody being shot, somebody being stabbed.
I mean,
Okay.
that's it. You see people fighting with machetes on the street. I mean,
Yes.
you need
Yeah.
to have situational awareness in this
Yeah.
sort of. I always said like the Philippines is one dangerous
Yeah.
place. Like,
I mean, gang wars is always present. I mean, whether they are because you've got your normal gang turf and everything, and normally when I walk to school, you've got like all the areas where they normally like meet, where they only fight. The headquarters or basically the turf of whatever gang, and you see them like sometimes when you walk from home to school or the other way around,
yeah.
one gang is trying to like go there and they start fighting, and
Mhm.
you have to be aware. You always have to be you have to be almost you have to be completely aware of what is happening around you. You have to know basically like, oh, there's gonna be a gang war that is gonna happen because there are telltale signs when you see the alleyways like really clear. Okay, and you can see like certain people like standing, and you're going to see like in flower beds on the street. You've got like different types of weapons,
Yeah.
shanks from shanks to whatsoever. They're
Yeah.
just laid out there. So and like their own version of the a projectile weapon like an arrow or like a slingshot,
Oh,
where
sling.
basically the projectile is a nail that is hammered down and made into like sort of a spear that you use for fishing. So yeah, that is very prominent there.
Wow.
Yeah, you
That's
you
some
have to be you have
improvised.
to be aware. Yeah.
Hmm. So, how I know you've mentioned the Filipino martial arts. So, how would you say that the Filipino martial arts are compared to the rest of the martial arts? I know that there is a big emphasis on blades and stick work and short blades, long blades. What you know? What?
Okay. Um, there are different. We can compare and contrast like Filipino martial arts with other martial arts. Okay, so I mean Filipino martial arts, although it is a term that is actually used now to describe any martial art that comes from the Philippines, but it
Yes,
started
yes.
about 1970s.
Yeah.
So before that, there is no term as Filipino martial arts. Um, the arts are either called estocada, arnis, eskrima.
Mm,
In different parts of the country, they are called differently. Okay, so
yeah.
it is only in the 70s that they introduced the term Filipino martial arts. I guess the same as with the other martial arts from other countries like Chinese martial arts, Japanese martial arts when they started like uh, comparing, contrasting things. So that's when
Yeah.
Filipino martial arts became known. Um, depending on the style, okay. So we always have like a blade part of this, a blade system or a blade style of the system.
Yeah.
We always have the impact weapon style of the system, which is basically what made of the rattan stick, which a lot of people call as arnis. Okay,
Mm,
sometimes they when you say arnis, it is almost like the system and the weapon itself, but actually the weapon itself is a rattan stick. Okay,
mm,
so some Filipino martial arts just focus on the empty hand, which is like kickboxing, similar to kickboxing,
yeah.
called sikaran. Some Filipino martial arts basically focus on the long weapon, which is like the staff.
Yeah.
Okay. Some Filipino martial arts focus more on just on the blade. So you got your machetes, you got your bolos, different types of blades that are basically held only by one hand, blades that are held by two hands. Okay. And some arts focus more on the knife.
Yeah.
Okay, so like the one of the Filipino martial arts that I managed to learn directly from the grandmaster is called Barao Sugbo. It is basically more based more on the knife, and specifically knife that is held in an ice pick hold or a reverse grip.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's basically that's their specialty. And the thing with this one with Barao Sugbo is it's not a flowing type of FMA. Okay,
Mm,
like sometimes what you do, like with Pikiti Tertia or Lameco,
mm,
or like sometimes how we do it in Lightning, it's really more on like this is like impact. I'm gonna stab you.
mm.
You stop me. I'm gonna strip it and everything. So it's really like for close quarter combat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, yeah, you got like different styles of Filipino martial arts. A lot of the like the modern Arnesis, which is one of the prominent Filipino founder actually, um, has background or used to be a karateka.
Oh
So
yeah.
there are a lot of my grandmaster in Lightning Scientific. He was more in combat judo before he started basically learning Arnis or yeah Arnis from his family. Okay, some Filipino martial arts instructors basically incorporate boxing. I mean, boxing is very popular in the Philippines.
Like the
You got
Panantukan and all this.
all right now. Panuntukan is a different
Oh, yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay, in the Philippines, we don't actually call it panuntukan. We call it suntukan or
Sun
mano mano. Okay, by
Mano a
hand.
mano, hand to
Yeah,
hand.
panuntukan is actually a term that was already coined in the West, in the US,
Okay.
via Dan Inosanto.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So even like Kali, actually, as a term, didn't start in the Philippines to be associated with Filipino martial arts.
Okay.
It was actually more popularized by Dan Inosanto.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just differences in how it became popular. That's why sometimes like Filipino martial artists or Filipino like instructors, in order to be able to get like international audience, especially from the States, sometimes they change their name into Kali.
Yeah.
And again, one of the person that basically um, popularized this term is Lehogahe of Pikiti Tertia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so but yeah, the term Kali as referring to a style in Filipino martial arts already came from the States.
Ah, see.
Yeah, but yeah, in the Philippines it's suntukan. No,
Oh,
it's not panuntukan or panantukan, and yeah, there's like instructors from Calis Illustrissimo like uh, Tony Diego, basically who are boxers. They're the ones who basically started. Although they didn't start the dirty boxing,
yeah,
but it's basically how they describe how to box in the street. It's almost like combat judo or combat karate.
yeah,
It differentiates karate for sports, karate for health, and something that you can use in the street.
yeah,
So it's just a way of differentiating it until it became popularized in the mainstream in basically as a substyle in Filipino martial arts. That's how basically it started.
okay. So I've seen you. I've seen several photos of you with katanas and stuff. So you've been working with swords as well.
Yeah, before uh, Filipino martial arts, I was basically into Aikido. That's how I started.
That's how you started with a
Okay,
katana.
yeah, it's
Mm.
it's it's a funny story because when I was younger, okay, so the predecessor of Power Rangers and all those things, I love watching that and like anime that has like robots,
Yeah,
like Voltes 5, and basically most of the characters know karate. Okay,
yeah, yeah,
now in the Philippines, karate was popular, karate and judo because they do have competitions, and I mean because of the influence even of the Americans, that's why it became popular, not because of the Japanese, because of the Americans. We're the ones who basically brought uh, a lot of them when we were under them. Even the term combat judo and combat karate were basically the ones used by the GIs, and that's how they separate again karate and judo that is used in the street, or basically the ones that you use for competition.
yeah,
So it was popular. So I asked my parents, can I learn it formally? Because I was growing up, and it's you have to learn how to defend yourself, basically, especially when you are in the street.
yeah,
But my mom, knowing that I was like a little bit hot-headed that time, and I can get into a fight if I want to. So she
yeah,
went, nah, okay, nah. And because of how they knew it being popularized in the Philippines, because of all this like the Star Rangers and everything, they are also like equated with training with weapons. She doesn't want me to, for a reason. My cousins are in the gangs,
all right.
okay, and they're in and out of like
Prison.
the city jail,
Yeah,
okay, and because they're in gangs, a lot of them, uh, a few of them have actually managed to take a life, okay, with knives. I mean, it's you kill or either is basically you kill or be killed out there.
absolutely. Yeah,
So my mom did her best to keep me away from that kind of life, okay, and
yeah,
actually hanging out with my cousins, because seeing what is happening, I even asked them, can you teach me? They said, yeah, I can teach you a few things, but I will teach you something that you can use more for self-defense.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But remember this, if you manage to use the blade and kill somebody, there's no point of return.
Yeah, it's there's no coming back.
There's no coming back. Yeah, you can justify it as much as you can, but the guilt, it might eat you. And once you get into the situation, it's gonna be like a loop. So they said, what do you think will happen next? Because you kill somebody, your life will always be in constant danger because their friends or their family will come after you. So
Yeah,
what happens next?
the
You
vicious
need to
circle.
find a way. to protect yourself,
Yeah.
you might end up being in a gang as well.
Yeah.
Not just priests. I mean, you might be able to avoid getting jailed, but while you are outside, you have to be really you have to look after yourself. So you might end up in a gang. So anyway, so my mom didn't allow me to study martial arts, even Filipino martial arts, because there were quite a few of like Filipino martial artists who were being used by gangs as
Yeah.
their part of the like strike force, strike team, and everything. So my mom wanted me to stay away from all those. So when I was a teenager, I found Aikido. So I said, "Well, can I learn Aikido? It's defensive." So it's very defensive. Unless basically they attack me, I won't do anything. So which he allowed me. But eventually we got into like weapons as well. So my mom went,
Ah,
but yeah, but it came at a later part. So my mom was kind of like okay at one point because I started like buying stuff, wooden sword. So it kind of like inoculated them
mm,
about weapons until I started like getting live ones. But I mean, getting live ones back in the Philippines is unless basically you buy the knockoff ones, it's quite expensive. So I didn't have any money to get them.
yeah.
So, but that's basically how I got into the Japanese arts.
Okay.
Yeah, and then yeah, I was into Aikido for years before I started learning FMA.
Okay. So, as you know, FMA is a lot of emphasis on weapons, mainly, stick and knife.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on empty hand against weapon attack? Have you got any philosophy when it comes to that? Any concepts, any principles that you would, that comes to mind when we speak about? I don't really like to call it knife defense, as you know. I like to call it
Mm.
counter weapon
Counter
tactics.
weapons tactics. Yeah.
What is your view on all this?
Okay. So this place, this depends on the situation. This depends on the person. Um, I I would basically still urge to learn boxing properly. Okay,
Boxing
properly.
is great. Boxing
Yeah,
is amazing. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I would say that. I mean, I if given a chance, I would actually, if given a chance to go back in time and start like learning
Yeah.
fighting, I would go straight to boxing.
Yeah.
But that's the first thing because if you know if you know boxing, I mean, just like with weapons, if you know boxing and you know how basically to create your range, to play with the range and everything,
Word.
you
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, you learn how to intercept. You learn how to preempt and everything. Preempt strikes. That's it. If you have a chance, basically not to wrestle with somebody who has a knife,
Mm.
go for it. But of course, some situations won't allow you to do that,
Yeah.
especially when it is already like clinch that close, okay? And you're being clinched. There's already a hand behind you, so sometimes boxing won't be. It's no longer that viable at that point, and you have to
Okay.
control it.
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as knife control is concerned, mitigate it by making sure that you control the attacking arm.
Mm.
That that will be your first point of call, right? Because
Two on one. Yeah.
yeah, two on one side. Okay. Um, when we I think this is 2015. So myself, my friend Anton, and my friend Chris started like planning to develop an edge weapon awareness program.
Okay.
Okay, similar to most of the most of the weapon awareness program out there. Nothing different. But as far as the moves is concerned, we want to base it more from to Filipino martial arts. But we need to make it simple for everybody because especially if you're going to learn something really effective for you to save your life, you can't
Yeah.
really do any fancy thing outside.
Yeah.
Okay, And for you to be able to pull it off, you have to be really good. Or your attacker isn't really intending to kill you.
Exactly.
Okay, so so part of the part of the development of the program was, where can we get a marking tool, a training tool that we can use to make it as realistic as possible. So we started looking for like training tools out there in the market. I mean, the
Yeah.
most popular back then that was available, well, kind of available that we saw, is the shock knife.
The shock knife, yeah, but they're very expensive, isn't it?
They're very expensive, and it became illegal to actually get them over here. You have to have, apparently you need to have like a special type of
I think
uh
red marker does really well, red
yeah,
marker
red.
t-shirt.
Yeah. So that's when we basically stumbled upon the no lie blade.
The what?
Okay, no lie blade. So it is a type of blade made of from aviation aluminum, and it has like a strip around that allows you to use um, what's this, lipsticks. So wear a white shirt, somebody attacks you.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, 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 yeah. So
Okay, so the lips,
yeah,
exactly. So I mean, the pentel pens is okay, but of course, pentel pen, the pens basically depends on how you use it. You might end up like pushing the tip,
yeah.
the felt tip, and then it will stop like marking anymore. So anyway, so um, we my friend Anton spoke to Hank Hayes, who is basically the owner of the No Live Blade system and the marking tool, and he brought him over here. Um, First was, I think, 2006, yeah, 2015, the same year, and then 2016, because I attended the second certification. So it was like, first meeting was like this. Okay, so everybody pair up. Okay, put the marker on it, white shirt. I'll give you 1 minute. Have a go at each other. Most of the people there are basically like martial artists. Even we have in my batch, there were quite a few who are like Krav instructors.
Okay,
And yeah, I mean, straight away, anything fancy,
doesn't
that's
work.
down the drain, because you get somebody who's intending to well, at least to put mark on your body, whether it's slashing or stabbing or whatsoever,
Yeah,
and in a random way. So
yeah,
it's nothing like a
yeah.
pattern action.
It's not codified anymore. When
No,
you ask somebody to put the intention and the aggression,
exactly,
it's completely
exactly.
yeah,
And then it is repetitive. You might not be able to get, they might be able to get up and down, but the forward pressure that they are putting towards you,
yeah,
that means the gap is always being closed. So
yeah,
it's either you have to maintain as your gap, a safety range,
yeah, yeah,
but if you don't control the attacking arm, that means they'll be able to attack you anytime they want.
yeah,
So especially you try to do blocking, you try to do like any kind of sweeping, that's not gonna fly. So you have to learn how to do control 2-on-1.
yeah.
Okay, and
Uh,
then from there, once you get control, get into your combatives.
yeah,
So it depends on the situation, what type of strike you do, your body build. Again, anything that you have to consider, your environment, you have to consider all other stuff. Then that's how you get about it. And yeah, of course, you have to learn how to fight both standing up and on the ground,
yeah,
because you might not like to be on the ground. You might not be a ground fighter, but
yeah,
situations could actually make you end
yeah,
up on the floor.
yeah. A
You
lot of
need
fights end up on the floor for
so
sure.
you need to know how basically how to defend yourself on the floor,
Yeah,
stand up, or again, if situations basically dictates, be able to defend yourself while on the floor,
yeah,
because you might not basically have a chance to stand up.
yeah. Or from a seated position on it,
Seated
inside
position, yeah, all those things.
at a table, inside a
Yeah,
car, inside an elevator, inside a
yeah,
phone box. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So basically, that kind of like reinforced what I learned from Barao Cebu as well, because they're always big on controlling the attacking weapon before they start doing any kind of maneuver. Okay, so there. So that's my thought about knife defense. And when you practice it, sorry, I'm just making sure that I've got. Okay, when you practice it, try to also practice it from different scenarios. It
Yeah,
is important. You
yeah,
need to consider a lot of things, like how do you apply it while you're inside a car?
yeah,
How do you apply it while you're in a bus?
yeah,
How are you going to apply it if the attack is directed towards somebody? Okay, not you, maybe your loved one or something.
somebody else. Yeah, yeah. Third party defense. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, and again, if you're being attacked by, if you got like multiple attackers, right? Sorry, Julian, I just need to check my
No
my
problem.
battery.
No problem at all.
Yeah, just making sure that
Making sure it's not gonna cut halfway through the interview.
yeah.
No problems, mate. Having a nice turmeric tea, me. Um,
Yeah, I think we're good.
okay, so like strictly martial arts speaking, yes. What do you have to say about the difference between attribute development and fight development? Because there is a lot of martial art instructors out there that are only focusing on attribute development, and they you see them doing a lot of flow drills, a lot of this, a lot of that, but you don't see them pressure testing. You don't see them do scenario training, simulations, and like I mean full contact simulations and things like that. What are your thoughts on obviously knowing the difference between the two and being able to implement both of them in your training, basically to see basically attribute development is you learning the skill set and how
Skill
to
sets.
apply
Yeah.
the skill set, and then the fight development is can you actually use that skill set when you're adrenalized, when it really matters? Do you know what I mean?
That's actually a nice point that you raised. So, I mean, attribute development is good as a from the point of view of a beginner. Okay,
Skill
so
yeah.
yeah, so but and I know uh, there are certain people when they want to learn martial arts, they do it for different reasons. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you want to learn martial art just for yourself, for like health and everything, yeah, attribute development could be your thing. Okay,
Hmm.
but if you want to make sure that whatever skill you've got is something you'll be able to apply when it comes to a point in your life that you have to preserve your life, to save your loved ones, you
Yeah.
have to pressure test.
Yeah.
Okay, and being an instructor, if you market your art as something that you'll be able to use this outside on the street and everything, you have to students to pressure testing.
Yeah.
Sparring is just one of it. Okay, but I mean sometimes when you spar, you still have some rules because
Sparring
it's
is
like a duel.
yeah.
It's like a duel. Sparring is good to develop certain things, but
Yeah.
if you want something that is really combative, you have some. If you want something that will work with the street, you have to go for another way of pressure testing it, and that is through making sure that you include things like pressure testing your mental capacity
Yeah.
against a rising violent situation, and most importantly, the emotional side of it.
Absolutely. Big time.
Because yeah, because attribute development, you can always say, yeah, this is me preparing mindset wise. Okay, it's
Yeah.
fine because it's learning cognitively. You're learning patterns. But the problem is you have to cross that point. You have to include your emotions
Yeah.
because let's
Adrenaline
face it,
rush, isn't it?
once adrenaline kicks in,
Yeah.
your emotions were going to be drawn into it. It's going to be
Yeah.
high. You,
Yeah.
you have to learn how to control your emotions,
Yeah.
in order to be able to come up with an intelligent response to the
That's it.
situation. I mean, you can react as much as you can, but the problem is if you react to an action, you are already on the losing side because you are just reacting to it. You
Action.
need to you
Action.
need to be able to come up with a response to be
Come
on
on.
top of that situation.
That's it.
And let's face it, it is only by making sure that you go through like scenario based pressure testing, um, pressure testing that will basically get you understanding how you respond to situations when your adrenaline is up there.
Yeah.
It is important because uh, for a lot of people, and like for example, most of these attribute developments that we do in martial arts, they're kind of like complex movements, fine motor skills.
Yes.
When your adrenaline shoots up, when your heartbeat is racing, when you're tunnel visioning,
Vision.
it
Hyperventilation.
yeah, the hyper, yeah, those things goes out of the window.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're left with gross motor skills. That's all that
Exactly.
you're left with.
So
That's all the
you
system remembers.
exactly. So that's why you have to learn how to deal with it and eventually bounce back into managing to get those finer skills back in play.
Yeah.
But you have to submit yourself through that kind of pressure testing.
Yeah.
That you need to do it like when your adrenaline is up. Um, it's one of those things that what we do like with surviving a knife attack course or NLB before. So we do get the students like do like okay 5 minutes all physical workout, get their adrenaline up,
Yeah.
and then make them do the drills.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Fatigue.
even we do that, then apply tourniquet, apply direct pressure, apply packing.
Yeah. To go back from gross motor skill to fine motor skills,
Exactly,
from limbic, from reptilian brain back to cognitive brain.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's what we do, and then we also like introduce like okay low light. Okay,
Low
you're
light.
sweating a lot and everything, and basically making like those your decision making process even to the point of okay approaching somebody who's lying down on the floor wounded. How are you going to approach the person in a way that it is safe for you as well to do it,
Yeah.
even though you're thinking, oh, I need to save the person's life.
Yeah. You need to make sure that you're safe, isn't it? That's one of the
Exactly,
first rule in first. If you're a first responder, that's the first thing is make sure that you're safe. Because if you're not safe, you're not going to save anyone.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So we use the same principle in the Saka course that we run. We use the same principle for defending yourself and even saving somebody else's life or yourself. So, but yeah, it is important. Uh, Attribute development is good, but if you want to, you have to test yourself.
Yeah.
You have to get yourself in that situation wherein it will train you to be able to basically uh, recover from shock, whether it is mental, emotional, or physical shock.
Yeah.
Okay, and then basically respond to a particular situation. But yeah,
Desensitize you to adrenaline.
yeah, that's true.
The best way to get desensitized to adrenaline is to be exposed to it,
Yep,
either gradually through training,
yep,
or if you work in the police forces or in the military or in the security, where you're faced with that adrenaline on daily
yeah,
basis, and that's how you get desensitized to
yeah,
it.
exactly. Um, we used to when I was doing some because back in the university, one of my job there is to work with athletes. So what we know today as like mindfulness and everything, cognitive behavior therapy, back then we only know it as applied sports psychology, and that was basically my line of work. So I work with athletes to increase their performance level
Yeah.
by giving them what we call as the mental edge. So it's the same way as with athletes. You see athletes like attribute development, okay, doing the skills and everything. But they should they sh- there should come a point where they should be able to execute it under the pressure of a competition.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you got like everybody booing you, You've got like basically the pressure of another person against you, basically vying for ball control and whatsoever. So you have to, what we call that is stress inoculation.
Yeah.
Okay, or that's another word for desensitization. So we try to put them to that stage, stress inoculation.
Yeah.
Under pressure, do what you have to do. Okay, and like for example, before we only look at fight or flight as a common response.
Yes.
Okay, but nowadays we basically consider a third one, freeze.
Guys, the free F, fight, flight,
Yeah,
or
the three F. Yeah, exactly. Fight, flight, or freeze. Now, even like fight or flight, before you manage to get into it, you still have freeze in between.
you need to
That's
get
the
rid of
initial
the
shock.
freeze effect. That's the
Yeah,
shock. Yeah, get
that's the
over the
initial shock.
psychological and emotional shock to get back
Exactly,
inside.
exactly.
I found that the best way to do that is to breathe a certain
Mm.
way. Because very often when you're in shock, what it's going to do is you're going to go inhale, and then it's
Hyperventilating. Yeah,
coming out. So the best way to get rid of it is to is
yeah.
to breathe out, and
Breathe out.
at the same time, preferably, to have that action accompany with that breath.
Yeah.
Preferably, if you have to fight for your life, as you breathe out, you have to be very, very, very aggressive with your
Oh
breath.
yeah. It's actually good that you actually point that out because uh, while you're in that shock and you're basically breathing in, you're basically incapacitating yourself in a way.
Hmm.
Okay, because every time you breathe in, you're not basically you're removing almost any kind of aggression in you
Yeah,
psychologically. So you have to learn how to like breathe out. Otherwise, you won't be able to come back.
yeah,
Okay, you basically it's almost like I would compare it if you keep if you just keep breathing in, you're always like in a very defensive
yeah.
position, and you're just basically taking it. Okay, but you
Mm.
have to learn how to breathe out. Otherwise, whatever whatever attribute or skill you have developed, you won't be able to dish it to your attacker or something.
Okay. So, have you ever had any real situations where you had to use your skills, and
I had back in the Philippines.
what was your feedback?
Um, the first one was a police actually mistook me for a leftist, uh, for a communist supporter,
Oh, okay.
and because I came from the university that you got a lot of leftist
Yeah.
students in there. I came from University of the Philippines. Um, he poked a gun on my head.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, luckily he was kind of drunk and situation. That's basically when he went, stop. You look like this person. He said the name of the person. Look like this person. Drew his gun and poke forehead. And uh, man, I wet myself at that point. I was like, and because he started talking and he's talking more, so I said, "Oh, this he's not just gonna kill me. Okay, he's gonna basically like assert his ego first and everything." So lucky, I was lucky because he was in that kind of frame of mind. Otherwise, he could have just like, "Hey, you, boom,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
dead."
If you want to, that's the thing, when it comes to weapons, if somebody wants to do something bad to you, they will do it, and
Yeah, exactly,
very often it will come out of an ambush, and you
exactly,
see it coming.
exactly, exactly. But anyway, so he started talking. Um, I managed basically to get out of the situation. Okay. Um, and then after that, I just all I remember was after managing to like disarm him, I just run for my life.
Yeah,
Okay. Um, but it kind of like haunted me at one point. Okay. Every night I kept off like dreaming, or that memory kept on flashing back, and it's almost like eh, you've got that kind of like moment wherein, yeah, if this happens, how would I be able like to forgive myself if I may have like basically survived it, but in a way that he fired the gun, maybe like hit me, survive the situation, and at one point make it complicated for my parents, and all those things. So you got that kind of like guilt feeling at one point, and then you start thinking, yeah, oh, luck, e- everything that I did paid off, and everything that at that point, but I don't want to put myself in that kind of a situation once again.
Yeah.
So yeah, and another one is in a jeep. I was being held up. Somebody tried, when um, phones were becoming cell phones, mobile phones were becoming popular,
Yeah.
and back in the Philippines, there was a point in time wherein um, somebody will steal your phone because they will basically trade it for drugs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. Again, I managed to like defend myself from that situation, but um, because during the time I can already sense something's wrong, something is going to happen, and all these things. But because you were like in a situation that you can't just get out of the bus, okay,
Yeah.
I wanted to like, I already wanted to like get out of the bus because I know that something is gonna happen. But in between bus stops, you
Yeah.
can't just
Yeah. Yeah.
you can't just and it was crowded. It's not that you can like get 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 up from your seat and go to another place, because you are being squeezed in.
Yeah.
So you can already, I know that you already have two-person in front of me and almost behind my seat. So if I get up, they're the one who's gonna squeeze me. So I was like, okay, but yeah, I was waiting. I was really hoping that I'll be able to get to the next bus stop. But no, it didn't happen. They tried to jump on me. So, but yeah, I managed to like defend myself. So
Nice.
those are the two situations. Most of it, I managed to avoid it. Like
Okay. Yeah.
confrontations in bars, confrontations in, I, I, I get away. Yeah, if I can stay away from it as much as I can, even if they already like hit me once,
Yeah.
so be it.
De-escalation. That's where de-escalation tactics are.
Exactly.
And yeah,
It's
very
yeah,
important.
it's not worth it. No.
You know,
So
90% of the time, it is said that by the statistics that 90% of the time you can either talk your way out of it,
yeah,
or you can just facilitate your escape and just
yeah,
move away.
yeah,
Totally avoid or escape the situation, even, or
yeah.
de-escalate. In some ways. Um,
It's important that you de-escalate situations, especially confrontations. I mean,
Absolutely, yeah. You got no business getting physical with anyone if you got an
exactly,
opportunity to.
exactly. I mean, you might get hurt. Your ego might get hurt, but
Yeah,
what's the point of feeding your ego if you'll end up in the hospital, if
for
you're gonna
sure.
end up dead?
It's better your ego getting hurt than you.
Exactly.
Suffering.
Or
Consequences of violence are always
yep,
negative.
exactly. Or basically being in jail
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because of accidentally killing somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, there's no point to it. So yeah, but yeah, luckily here in the UK,
Yeah.
I haven't had an experience. I mean, confrontations, but as I've said, if I do already smell or sense that this is gonna go in a confrontation, I just
That's good.
I just move away.
That's excellent. Excellent self protection. Have good
Yeah,
situational awareness, good environmental and behavioral
yeah,
awareness. See it first. Don't be there in the
yeah,
first place.
exactly,
Excellent
exactly.
protection.
Yeah, be like a ninja. Don't be
That's
there.
it. Well, I believe that you've been in the special forces as well. Was it in the
Well,
Philippines?
in the Philippines, we have this reserve officers training course, which is basically part of our of college. When you
Oh,
go to uni,
okay,
it's a mandatory thing
okay, yeah.
for. I think it might be similar to your cadet. Uh,
It's like the military. Yeah,
yeah,
it's called. I mean, we had it in France as well. It's like a military preparation,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
service preparation, military service
yeah.
preparation.
That's
That's
it. Yeah. So yeah, so it's compulsory to every college student, especially male. Female, it's optional for them, but yeah, mostly male. So
okay.
um, I was initially in the infantry uh, unit.
Okay.
First day of training, somebody announced we're opening actually the special forces group. So it's like raise my hand, signing up. I don't want to be marching most of the time. So anyway, so I signed up for it. Finished my uh, first 2 years of basic training, and
Mm-hmm.
then after that, I enlisted for the advanced training where I became an NCO as
Okay.
well. So this is I was yeah from like martial arts wise, I was already into Aikido and everything, but being of course being in that kind of unit is a different ball game when it comes to martial arts or to combatives.
Of course.
Okay, because you have to think from the point of view you're a military combatant.
Have
So
you?
it's
Okay. Have you been doing any live operations?
um the okay so during the whole training we were like yeah doing some certain degree of like operations and everything, but we were under the there were some parts of the training were under the regulars.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what happened was back in the 90s, most of the special forces group, the regular army, got involved in a coup d'etat. So there were some like political repercussions, and our training got cut. Okay, but
Yeah.
we did some degree of like operations ourselves. Okay, but yeah, not as far as like me being shipped to another place and everything, but nah, we participated in some like search and rescue as as yeah as far as that is concerned, but nothing really like more on military operations capacity or full one. Yeah, yeah, but
So
that basically defined again my combatives.
yeah,
That's basically how it started. Now, okay, now although I'm basically like I know Aikido, I know Aikido Jujutsu and everything. There's only a few that can basically work in this particular
yeah, of
setup.
course.
You have to basically change the way you think and the way you
It's
move.
the way you think, the way you train, your whole approach of combat needs to be
Exactly.
specialized and
Yeah.
adapted to the reality of your
Yeah.
environment and
Yeah.
of real violence. And
Yep.
then if firearms are
Your primary, secondary weapon.
yeah, you
The
learn all
I
that
mean
stuff.
the empty hand is basically okay. Yeah, we do have our own program and everything, but you know that you don't want to be like in a ground fight, especially when you've got all those kit you're wearing all those
Yeah,
things. So you have to learn how to like use your firearm, your primary, secondary weapon, and even like tertiary, which your blade, be able to learn how to retain it, be able to fight with it more effectively. So yeah, but it's actually good to learn martial arts because it gives you the confidence. But again, yeah, it's a yeah, it tells you a different story. It's a different mindset when it comes to using it from that perspective.
for sure, for sure. Mindset is definitely very important. I'd say, mindset is everything. It's the
Mm,
base. It's really the foundation of everything. And then on the top
yeah.
of mindset, you will build on the top of mindset with tactics, and then
Yes.
skills, and then on the top
Exactly.
of skills you
Yeah.
learn how to use
Yeah.
the
Because I mean, even like self-defense is actually mission based. That's one
Mhm.
thing you have to remember. You only have to do what you need to do.
For
It's
sure.
mission based. So you have to learn how to accept that. You can't like go wild even with self-defense.
Yeah,
So you what you need to focus on is do the mission, come back home.
that's
You
it.
you don't want basically like do the mission and end up in jail. Okay,
Yeah.
or it's hard because I tell you, uh, one of my dance partner's office mate. got into an altercation. This is here in the UK. Okay,
Yeah.
got into an altercation. Not even punch the person that he was having a confrontation with. When the person lunged towards him, he pushed the person. Okay, luckily it was a push that he did, so he wasn't in this position. But the person slipped. Back of his head landed on the gutter, so he died.
Yeah.
It took a year to clear his name, but
Yeah.
during that year of clearing his name, he was in jail.
Yeah.
And
You need to be really careful. Like it only takes one. People don't die from getting punched. They
exactly,
die from the head hitting the pavement.
yeah, exactly,
One shot to do that, and your
exactly.
whole life could just be
Yeah,
reversed.
that's why sometimes when you see like videos in like Facebook or anything, when you still like they try to do like suplex and everything on the street, it's like no.
It's ego. People only think about what they did after when it's too late, when they have to
Exactly,
face the
that's true.
consequences. You know.
That's true. That's true.
Tell you what, man. If we kind of navigated slightly towards the soft art,
All
yeah,
right.
internal. I know that you've been doing some internal martial arts as well, which is something that I'm slowly getting into more and more now as I'm getting a bit, well, I'm only 35, but I've had a few health
Issues. Yeah.
concerns in the last 5 years, and I've it really made me look into things like qigong and breath work and meditation and things like that. So when did you started to implement more internal forms of martial arts? Was it at the beginning or was it a bit later in your life?
Um. No, when I was actually studying Aikido, because I mean
Ah, so you
Aikido is
started young.
already kind of an internal art. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
But the first group that I trained with wasn't really much into it. Okay,
Hmm.
so I had to supplement by learning Tai Chi and Qigong.
Okay.
Okay, and luckily I found a Chinese community who practices uh, Tai Chi and Qigong every day, 5 to 7 in the morning, and
Nice.
they're being led by an actual Sifu. And he is still in the Kung Fu. Now he's still not Wushu, still in the Kung Fu, so he's still more like martial arts oriented. So that's where I understand into like the internal side, the Iron Sir Qigong,
Yeah.
basically
Oh, that's beautiful.
strengthening basically your body from the inside, developing your chi, using your energy not just basically for combat but basically for you to promote health. And that's how I started getting really more into mindfulness. That's basically my path. And um, I got more into it. Um, I dwelled more into mindfulness, even to the point of doing silver mind control. So
Hmm.
this silver mind control became popular uh, back in the 80s and early 90s. I did a course on that, both on the beginners and basic, beginners and advanced one. And that's basically like learning how to use relaxation, learning how to use like what they call as the three finger method,
Hmm.
learning how to use progressive relaxation. um, but that is really more for your own okay, for your own self, for your own healing, for your own, yeah, for your own sanity, for your own well-being. And I applied the same thing. I started applying it when I was working with athletes as well, which is really good
Yeah.
because the way we it was kind of like the way we did it in silver mind control was really effective when it comes to getting into the relaxation and the mindset wise and
Yeah.
developing your mindset. And it was really nice basically to be able to learn how to use it on athletes. Okay,
Yeah.
because when I did silva it was really just about for me, but when I started like applying it to athletes, oh, so this is basically how things can really work. And that became my basis even of how basically I use my mindfulness these days. So yeah,
Yeah.
I was Qigong is good because it allows you to strengthen even like your core. So think of it like doing calisthenics.
Yeah.
Okay, as far as the body is concerned, so you're working on your core, you're
Yeah.
working on your joints, you're working the strength of your ligaments, your tendons, okay, your deep muscle tissue, your deep muscles, your deep muscle fibers that are good for like muscular endurance and all those things, functional exercises. But qigong and tai chi, you do it in a very slow way,
Yeah.
okay,
True.
and
Yeah.
it's also um, with the exercises in tai chi that allowed me to develop more of my awareness.
Yeah.
I I did quite a lot of that exercise with my Aikido students,
Mm-hmm.
and even with in conjunction with other like exercises to develop awareness. It's really good because it teaches you that um, tactile sensitivity to what to energy to intentions, not just the mechanics of the motion that is happening in front of you. So you
Okay.
know, like, when you're basically like fighting, if it is like if you're fighting within a range, you can use your eyes to be able to observe.
Yeah.
Okay, coming closer, you can still rely on your peripheral vision, but the moment you're in close contact, you need the tactile sensitivity,
Tactile awareness. Yes.
awareness. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and you develop it at at the same with your kinesthetic perception as well.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
yeah, that's how valuable Tai Chi become to me, and I still like use some of the drills, use some of the exercises these days to be able to help me like still get stronger. The breathing alone is
That's the
was
next
really
thing I was
important for me
talking about.
because it helped me when I had my bronchial asthma. I developed bronchial asthma when I was here in the UK
Yeah.
about
Okay.
15 years ago. So, and that was really bad because every time I have coughing fit, I pass out.
Yeah.
So it was the breathing aspect of qigong that basically allowed me to get back from it.
Okay.
Yeah,
You see, that's one thing. That was my next question was, do you practice breath work? And now, there's so many different types of breath work. I mean, I have been getting into breath work for the last 2 3 years now, and it was really Wim Hof, that got me into the holotropic breath
yeah,
work and the cold therapy. Right now, I can't really do the cold therapy because of my health, because
mm.
I'm suffering of some autoimmune
Oh,
problem.
really?
I'm still trying to get rid of and to heal, but I know that the breath work is very important, and it can really help you heal or hyper oxygenize your blood and your body. And then obviously there's different types of breath work. You got shamanic breath work as
Oh,
well,
yeah,
which I have been doing even before without even knowing what breath work was. When I had my spiritual awakening back in 2012, I was starting to do some weird things with my breathing, like if my body remembered what to do,
mm.
and I
You
later
must be a shaman in your past life, man.
I am absolutely sure of that. There is no doubt about that. I am a healer. There's definitely a healer in me, and I
Yeah,
know that. I know that because my body remembers certain things.
certain things that
Yes.
you think like, oh, I haven't done this in
Exactly.
this lifetime.
I've never learned this in this lifetime. How do I know this? I believe that whatever you become good at in this lifetime are things that you've already mastered in your previous lives.
Yeah,
you know Going back to the breath work, you got transcendental breath work, you got manifestation breath work, you got healing breath work, and you got different rhythm. You got a quick breath work, you got very
yeah,
slow and deep,
yeah,
inhale and exhale, and then the visualization that comes with it, like for example, the healing breath work where you visualize the light, the
yeah.
cosmic energy entering you from
Coming in, yeah, from the top of your head. Yeah,
throat chakra, and then the earth energy entering from your base chakra and meeting at the
yeah,
heart, at the center. And it's stuff that when I had my spiritual awakening, I was doing these things, and then I learned about it. Then
yeah.
I've learned about it, and I was like, wow, I was already doing this. So
Mm.
yeah, breath
It's
work.
it's actually yeah, it's actually good that you brought that out because even like in breathing, there's sort of like a yin and yang into it. You've got
Yes.
like soft breathing for
Yeah.
healing, and there's also like the yang side, the hard side of breathing that
yeah,
you'll be able to use for, like for example, even in combat.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
and the way you basically do your breathing, the rhythm that basically you produce when you're breathing resonates basically with the way your body reacts to certain things.
yeah,
Okay, so it's all about managing to reach that kind of frequency that
yeah.
allows your body to heal, that allows your mind to heal, and allows basically even like your emotions to heal.
Yeah. You
So
know, I believe also when we speak about manifestation breath work, I believe that's how everything came into existence. You know, the breath. You can actually breathe
that's true.
life into things. You can breathe life into ideas.
That's
You
true.
can breathe life into a new job, a new
Yeah,
situation. You can manifest your next partner. You can manifest your next holiday with
that's
your
true.
breath.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's because your breath is always entwined with your energy.
Yes.
Okay, your spiritual energy, your divine energy, your
Mhm.
cosmic energy, your physical energy,
Chi, the
so
prana.
the
There's many
chi,
names
yeah,
for it.
where you, no yeah, your chi prana ki, it's always, and even though you're not conscious about it, okay, it allows you to reach out to the universe. It allows you to reach out with other people. It
Mm.
allows you to resonate with a lot of things, a lot of living being. Okay, whether it is like the plants, okay, the trees or the animals, or even people or person. Yeah, it
It's
allows you to resonate with them, and that's how you attract.
Yes. You see,
Okay.
that's funny you mentioned this because this is something I've learned as well years ago that if you want to if you want to resonate with the person in front of you, you could actually match their breathing.
Yeah.
Just look at
Breathing. Yeah.
the rhythm of their breathing and match their breathing. And by matching your breathing to their breathing, you're actually your energy fields are kind of intertwined, and this communication happens. It's like you become more receptive to each other
Yes.
by basically the kind of, how do you call that? I'm looking for a word. Sorry, man. By aligning
Yeah.
your breath with their
With their
breath.
breath. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Um,
very interesting stuff. Though. Yeah,
we use that a lot when
mm,
we teach Argentine tango to beginners.
yeah,
It basically allows them to become more aware. So for the leaders, okay, it allows them to get to tune in to what their partner is doing,
yeah,
because that's one of the hard things in leading in a dance, especially in Argentine tango, is becoming aware of your partner's energy,
yeah.
where their weight is, what they're doing, and also for the follower to be able to become aware of the energy that the leader is actually sending.
It's
And
very
this is,
very useful in love making as well, isn't it?
yeah, let's talk about Kama Sutra. So yeah, but it's one of the things that we also like, we do in martial arts, in Qigong, in Tai Chi, the pushing hand.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the very base of the pushing hand, becoming aware of your partner's energy, of your partner's breath.
Mm,
So, and then you progress from it, from just basically like one hand, do it two hands, from there, get into the elbow,
yeah.
get into the body motion. So,
I like flow drills. I've been training in Jeet Kune Do, which is like Bruce Lee's martial
yeah,
art, and before I really got into the JKD, the original Jeet Kune Do, when I trained with
yeah,
Tommy Brothers in Scotland, I was actually more into the JKD concepts, which is more like the Danny
yeah,
Inosanto lineage of Jeet
blend,
Kune
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I used to really enjoy the chisal, the trapping, the flow drills, because when you start flowing with it, you feel like you are in tune with the universe. You feel like there is no thoughts
Exactly,
passing through your head. It's like
exactly.
you start moving with the wind, with the
Yeah,
energy, and everything is one. You just at one
yeah,
with
yeah,
everything at that
yeah.
moment.
And you're like, that level is what you call as meditation, man.
Mm.
Once you get that, that is
Yeah.
meditation.
I was doing that. I went to see a friend of mine who used to train with Tommy a good while back, who I hope to have on these interviews someday. Martin Donnelly, and we were in his backyard, and we had a barbecue and all that. And
Yeah.
after everybody left, we were in the backyard, and we did a bit of flowing. We did a bit of flowing with just one hand, with the eye jab, sort of,
Yeah.
kind of, you know. And when we started flowing, I had exactly the same feeling. It's like when you start, and then when you add a little bit of footwork and you move back and forth and back, and it's like it's
Mm.
like the sea. It's
Yeah.
like a wave in the sea. It's like being on the ship
Yeah.
and waving left, waving right, but you find this balance in the storm. It's great stuff, man. I really like it. Obviously, attribute it's attribute based. It's not something that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
that
It's
you
one
will.
of the beauty of attribute skills or attribute development. It allows you to basically get into this type of stage of training as well. And it's not combative, but it basically feeds your soul and your energy to a
Yeah,
different level.
yeah.
So yeah.
No, it's good stuff. So regarding now meditation, okay, we know there's many different types of meditation. A lot of people think when we speak about meditation is standing straight, back straight,
Mm,
lotus position with the
mm.
fingers like this, close your eyes, and waiting for something to happen. But yeah, there's so many different types of meditations that I've found for me, because I used to suffer a lot of. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was a kid,
All right.
learning difficulties on the mild spectrum of autism. So it was always very difficult for me to sit in place when I was younger.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Calmed a lot right now, but before, sitting and trying to meditate, I've tried a few times to sit, in the traditional
Mm,
meditation way, and I could never find the patience to do it.
it's
But
very hard.
yeah, yes. But I found different ways to meditate. And what we just spoke about, for example, is a form of meditation. It's a flowing meditation. And I realized that the martial arts for me did this quite a lot, where when I start to move, even weaponry and stuff, when I do it on my own in the air, and I start moving and I start really working on my fluidity, rather
Mhm.
than rather than the combatives,
Yeah,
aggressive,
yeah, 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 yeah.
working on the yin. You see, that's the yin and the
The
yang.
balance in yin and yang. Yeah.
Got the aggressive,
Yeah.
and then you got the flow, the never ending flow. And that is a way that I was managing to meditate. But like my father used to say, some people find it's that they can meditate while doing ironing their shirts. You know what I mean? So it's
It's we go back. We can say it's a mindset. We can go back to that, but um, it's what you're doing is similar to Tai Chi.
yeah,
Tai Chi is a martial art form.
yeah,
Okay, it's, I mean, depending on how long the form that you are basically like doing. I mean, when I first started Tai Chi, we were doing like the 88 Yang style. So in
right.
moderate speed, to finish the whole thing would require you about 30 minutes.
Yeah, I know these are long. These are very long
Slow
forms.
one, 45 to an hour. I mean, if you don't basically have that kind of patience with you, you won't last the whole like even like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a hard task at one point. To do things like quickly and everything, it's something that it entices quite a lot of people, but to do it slowly, that's basically where it's going to be really challenging because you need to be able to calm your mind and to anchor yourself
Mm.
somewhere to be able to get to the task. Okay, so when um, I had a chance of uh, doing Zen or sitting Zen.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Zazen.
first day was like yeah the posture. Okay, being in a zazen, sitting on that pillow. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I mean, to me, okay, that's fine because I do Tai Chi, I do Aikido, I'm used to it. But the challenge was the instructor said, you have to empty your mind. You have to keep it blank.
That's the next thing I was going to speak about. They said that,
Wow. How?
bro, that's the same thing. I was going to say, the roots of all spiritual practice is presence, is the
Yeah.
ability to remain present, to
At
remain
the present
focused
moment.
on
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is very,
So
very difficult.
it is, yeah. So it was like, okay, so because before that, I've already done like, I was already an accomplished like applied sports psychologist. I've done silver mind control. And when I was doing that, it's this is the things that's basically the that I found. Okay, that once your mind or once your brain starts fluctuating from the beta level, which is your conscious level,
The brain
once it
waves.
starts fluctuating to the alpha stage of consciousness,
Hmm.
which is basically your pre-sleeping stage,
Yeah.
your mind starts to wander off more.
Yeah.
This is when thoughts, consciousness, sensations um, will just come in, will just come. It's gonna flood in. It's important for you to be able to anchor yourself somewhere so that you don't allow your emotions to get hooked. And it's actually the emotions that basically becomes a distraction for you.
Yes. So how do you
So
what sort of vehicle do you use to actually bring yourself back into the present
okay,
moment?
this is basically where anchoring is a tool that you can use for and any type of mindfulness or any type of meditation or any type of relaxation. Anchoring is a is a way uh, by basically becoming aware.
Yeah.
Okay, you can choose, you can pick becoming aware of your senses.
Yeah.
So with your eyes closed,
I do. Yeah.
one way to anchor is become aware of your breathing.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
so when you say become aware, just as you breathe in and out, just become aware of how the air interacts with your nostrils,
In, out. Yeah.
how the air feels when you
Mm.
breathe out, whether nostrils or mouth. Because normally when you breathe in, the air is going to be a little bit cold. It's cooler.
Yeah.
Breathing out, the air is going to be a little bit warm because your body is going through like chemical changes,
Yeah.
and the air is warm. So just by feeling that cold air entering and
Yeah.
the warm air leaving out, it doesn't matter nostrils or mouth or other way around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's one way for you to anchor and just become completely aware of that. Okay, so that's one. Or you can basically watch your abdomen expanding and contracting or rising and falling depending on your position.
Yeah.
Um, Listening to the air, that soft hissing sound as it enters your nose and comes out to your mouth. Okay,
Yeah.
that is one way for you to anchor. Okay, so the idea is by allowing your senses to become active. This way, you become more aware of what is happening inside you.
Yes.
So nothing magical, nothing, but it's just like a starting point for you to anchor yourself. Now, once your mind fluctuates to the alpha states of consciousness,
Mm.
thoughts will start flooding in. So once thought starts flooding in, just allow it to pass in front of you.
Yeah. I've
Okay,
heard. Yeah.
like a car passing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but sometimes when you watch like the road or the highway and you see like cars passing in front of you and you see something that you like and you start following it.
Yeah.
It's
Because
because
my mind does that, like, without even me trying. It's just I'm kind of trying to be present, and one thought comes, and I don't even see that thought coming until later. I realize,
yes,
oh shit, I'm back in my
yeah,
mind. You know?
it's because during that time
Yeah.
your emotion was actually elicited.
Yeah.
Basically it brought back
Emotion.
sensation, good
Mm.
sensations, bad sensations, good memories, bad memories. That's the reason why you get distracted.
So there's
So allow just if that happens,
mm,
just accept it.
yeah.
Go back to your breathing.
There's two anchor point that I found out worked for me
Hmm.
more than the others. The first one, the one that worked the best for me, is to actually focus my awareness inward and try to feel the buzzing of my cells,
Yes.
starting
Yep.
by my fingertips. Even now that I'm talking to you about it, I am doing it right now, and I can feel my cells buzzing in my
Yeah.
fingertips and in my toes. And that when you do this, you're out of your mind. You are not
Mm.
inside your mind anymore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then there are also certain questions that I ask myself that bring me back to the present moment. And one
Mm.
of them is, if I'm thinking, who is aware that I'm thinking?
That's a good question.
Eh?
Okay, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Um,
You know Eckhart Tolle?
yeah.
Eckhart Tolle that wrote a magnificent book called The Power of Now.
Hmm.
Uh, that really changed my life. Obviously, I can't apply everything yet. It's so difficult. But it's a book that I got the audiobook, and I listen to it every year. I keep coming back to it. And every time when I have a new friend, that's I buy them, and I that's my number one
Yeah.
present for people, people that I like. I'm like, here, I ordered that book from Amazon, and I'm like, here, that's for you, man.
It's yeah. It's actually not, yeah. Breathing. Okay, learning how to anchor. It's
Yeah.
actually a good way to live in the present moment.
Hmm.
It's a nice starting point to learn how to like enjoy what you have now, and that is really important for mindfulness. Okay.
Yeah.
Part of it is also developing how to disassociate your mind from whatever thought sensations that is passing around you. So it's almost like think. You're familiar with like astral projection or out of the body experience?
Absolutely, mate. Yes.
Okay, so think of it as just like that. So think that basically like your astral body or your mind is hovering,
Yeah.
and you're watching yourself lying down on the floor or
Yeah.
watching yourself doing whatever. So it's almost like allowing your mind to become disassociated with
Well,
it
separating yourself from your body and even from your mind.
and from your emotions. That is the most important thing.
We got different layers of bodies. They speak about
Yes,
the rainbow. They speak about the rainbow bodies in Buddhism.
yes.
They said that we have an emotional body, we have a physical body,
We
obviously, and
have
then
an astral body,
astral body, emotional body, spiritual body.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And even like your aura is actually made of different layers as well. So you've
Yes.
got the aura that people will see with colors and everything. It's basically you've got a part of your aura that is part of your like your psychic shield and everything. So yeah,
I have one of my friend from Lithuania. Actually, I'm friend with three brothers, and one of them brothers can actually see auras, and he's been able to see them since he was a kid. And he's the guy that said to me that when you are changing your emotional state, the colors of your auras around you
changes.
change,
Mm.
because each energy center chakra is associated with a color, because each
Yeah,
color has a vibration, a
yes, it
frequency.
does. It
and,
does.
and so by experiencing pain or anger or love, or then the color of your aura will change.
Yeah,
and
it
and
does.
so some people are able to see them, some people are born with that ability, and then there are machines as well that you can use. You can actually
You
take
can use now.
you can
Mm.
take pictures of your aura. I've had mine taken a few times, actually. It was quite interesting to
So
see.
what was the color that you saw around you?
It was quite, I'll tell you what, it was yellowish. The first one was yellowish, orange-ish, and a bit of purple. Yeah.
Okay,
And eventually at some point, the second one that I did was more green and purplish, and that was after my spiritual awakening. My the colors had changed, and I know that the green is associated with the heart
with the
chakra.
heart chakra, fourth chakra.
So if you experience love, for example, your aura will become quite green around you. If you experience fear, or if you're fighting for your life, your aura might
Red,
be more
orange,
red. So yeah,
depends.
This
Yeah,
is all. It's amazing. It's amazing stuff because the
it
world
is.
is made of 97% stuff that we cannot see or perceive with the naked
That's
eye.
very true.
We can only
Yeah.
see, we can only perceive like 3% of the electromagnetic spectrum
Yeah.
of light.
Yeah. All right. So the purple is actually a good sign because that means that you
The
are
connection.
that basically speaks of like a spirituality.
Hmm.
Okay. And when we say spirituality, this is not tied up to any kind of religion.
I know
So
exactly what
this
you mean.
spirituality, responding to the natural law of nature, and all
Yes.
those things.
Yeah.
Green is a sign of caring, of sharing, a loving energy. Okay.
I am a very
When
loving
you
person.
Yep. When you got like red, yep, it's going to be a sign of aggression. Okay. Normally, yellow is a sign of like frustration, deep-seated anxiety.
Yeah.
So anybody was basically in that kind of emotional state will
I have
show that kind.
I have
Okay.
in my life.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, um, you've got like your chakras basically lined up with the
Hmm.
colors of the rainbow. So from violet all the way to red. And when you basically, like for example, when you do qigong, when you do internal breathing, one of the things it does is basically to make sure that all these chakras are equal in
Yeah.
amount of energy.
Yeah.
Because if there is one chakra that is depleted and there's one chakra that is congested,
Imbalance. Yeah.
there's an imbalance in your energy, it will affect your emotion and eventually it will affect you physically.
Yeah.
So that's basically how it's tied up.
Okay.
So yeah, I was I was actually born. I can see auras. I can see spirits, ghosts, and
I,
everything.
we'll speak about that because
So
you're talking to a quite spiritually divergent person as well. I've had experiences which it's coming in the list of questions. Uh, Before that, I wanted to speak about. So you see, we were talking about being in the present moment,
hmm,
and as you know, for example, when you wake up in the morning, there is a moment where your mind is very quiet, and it's very usually when you wake up or before you go to sleep, when the veil between your conscious and your subconscious mind is very, very thin,
yeah,
and you are in between the conscious and unconscious, and you can
eh,
actually. I mean, I've had some pretty. When I started to become aware of that stuff, when I had my spiritual awakening, and I was like, sometimes you feel yourself going to sleep and you start hearing voices in your head, and then you wake up and you're like, who was talking? There was two people talking in my head, like,
hmm,
what the heck? Well, that's one thing, but what I was going to speak about was one thing that really helped me in my life, because I used to suffer from a lot of I've had a really difficult childhood, a lot of anxiety, even in my adolescence and adulthood. And one thing that really helped me is NLP, neuro
hmm,
linguistic programming, and self hypnosis.
yeah,
And I realize I still use to this day every morning and every evening when I go to bed, when I feel like I'm getting asleep. I have this program kicking in that I have initiated that program. It took a long time to initiate that program, where I'm going with positive affirmations, because when the veil between your conscious and your subconscious mind is thin, this is when your subconscious mind is receptive
yeah,
to suggestions. And
yes,
that's where I go and I said to myself, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am happy, I am successful, I am powerful, I'm grateful. And and I remind myself what I'm grateful for as
hmm,
well, because the
hmm,
practice of gratitude is one of the most important
yeah,
practice every morning if you want to be a happier person. Because when you remember what you're grateful for, then you don't have the time to remember about what you're ungrateful for.
exactly.
The first 10-15 minutes of your day, the quality of the first 10-15 minutes of your day will dictate the quality of your day. So
Hmm.
what do you have experience with NLP and self-hypnosis? Is that things that you have
Well,
experienced in your life?
I mean, yeah, I mean, with how Silva mind control went is very similar to NLP and self hypnosis. Okay, so I have been using that, and I've been using that to athletes when I started like doing stress management courses, I
Yeah.
incorporated that as well. So what you said is true because normally, okay, so your pre-sleeping stage, your alpha stage of consciousness is when you're about to go to sleep and the first few minutes when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
And this is where your unconscious thoughts, your deep, uh, even like your long range, your memory, your deep seated memory, and everything is the one that is really more, not your conscious ones.
So
So
the conscious thoughts are actually a branch of your
yes,
unconscious thoughts.
yes,
Yeah.
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 So that's why it is important that if you want to do like positive suggestions,
Yeah.
okay, that's the time basically to do it because they're those times that and the conscious thoughts are more powerful. They're more like it's overriding your conscious thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's also why when the trick that they basically like teach to people, you look at the mirror, you talk to yourself,
I did a lot of that.
but okay, the talking to yourself is only the first part to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only the second part to it. The first part really is when you look at yourself in the mirror before you do your self affirmation, is to get yourself into that alpha state of consciousness.
Yeah. You know,
So,
you know how I do that with the mirror? I actually, and I did a lot of mirror work because I am something I've not said to you, but I'm very much into old school esoteric
all
practices
right,
and mysticism, and magic, transcendental. I'm not talking about magic getting rabbits out of your
yeah,
hat.
yeah, 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 I know,
We're talking about real old school magic, how to change your consciousness, how to
yeah,
raise your consciousness. So I've looked into a lot of things. I mean, I've looked into all the different occultic traditions and the work with mirror that I did. And once again, it's stuff that I did on my own, and I've only learned after. Where I have the
you must have a you must be a healer and a shaman on your past life.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Sure. And so I had this mirror in front of me, and I was looking at myself, and I was talking to myself, and I realized that I could also have the right hemisphere of my brain and the left hemisphere of my brain communicating together by looking into my left eye with my right eye and looking with my right eye with my left eye in my right eye
You're
and
right. Yeah,
vice versa.
crossing it.
And what I would do is, in order to get myself into this state, is I would get the mirror closer, 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 and I would actually put my head right against the mirror.
Mm,
The two of your eyes become one eye.
yeah,
If you do that experience, you take the mirror and you put your forehead right
yeah,
against the
right. And yeah,
your two eyes become one, and you have to really gaze as far as you can,
yes,
like if you were diving into this, and
yeah,
this, when the two eyes become one, connected to the third eye, and you can dive into that third eye, and you dive into the spiritual realm then.
yep,
And that
yep.
that's where you can actually get this state, this alpha state.
Alpha states of consciousness.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Actually, funny you said that because one of the things that I learned from my Aikido instructor back then is this.
Mm,
So when you look at somebody in the eye, especially if, well, especially if you don't feel comfortable or if you don't feel confident with a person, is
mm,
this. Or if you're basically confronted with somebody who's really angry,
yeah.
don't look the person straight in the eye
Yeah.
because they will consume you with anger with their intention.
Yeah.
But look at within the eyebrows.
Okay. You see,
The thing is, when you look between the eyebrows, you'll be able to feel the intent
yeah,
without getting consumed by the emotions of the intent.
that's interesting. That's
All
interesting.
right. So I mean, you can try because when I teach when I teach even for self defense,
Mm,
that's basically what I teach my students. Okay, because um, I mean we like managing to talk with people and even like with soldiers
yeah.
who have basically been there, who have taken life of other people. You can see there's a difference the way they look at you in the eye.
I see that straight away. I know people that have I have
Yeah.
I grew up around people like this, so I
And one of the things that my cousin even told me before is this, which I saw even at an early age. You would know if somebody has already taken a life or not by the way they look at you.
yeah,
Now the thing is this: if they have already taken a life, they look at you and you look at them, you'll be drawn into it. And the only thing that you're going to basically feel is fear.
yeah.
Fear that is really coming from inside. You're fearing for your life.
It's funny because the eyes are the mirrors of
The window to your soul.
it's the window to the soul, and
Yeah.
and that's the same thing. The universe is a big reflection of a reflection of a
Mm.
never ending reflection, and
Yes,
that's why
it is.
it's so difficult for people to make eye contact. I don't know if you, I mean, that's a different practice, but I've been with my ex partner, who was also very deeply into spirituality and into tantra and things like that.
Yeah.
And there is a tantric practice where you are actually gazing into each other's eyes and try to maintain the
Mm.
look for
That
as
eye
long
contact.
as
Yeah.
you can. And you realize that even with the people that you love, even with the people that it's very, very difficult to maintain the eye
Mm.
contact, really try to dive
Yeah.
into your partner's um, gaze. It's
Yeah.
quite difficult because all these things are rising up, all these insecurities, all these thoughts, and it becoming louder and louder and louder in your head, and it's
Mm.
it's
It
it's a
would.
good, a good practice. And now, if doing that with your partner is one thing, but there are also practice now that doing it with a total stranger when you go to a meditation class,
Yeah.
and even that's even more difficult. You're
It
like,
is.
whoa,
It is.
yeah.
It is. Be-
Because you are mirroring, your eyes are mirroring your worries,
your
insecurities,
emotions,
your
the
past.
whole chaos inside you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And it's it's either you manage to when you are in that situation, if you can put a good defense
yes,
in front of you, you're fine. But if the person is in a state wherein he can draw or he or she can draw energy from you,
yeah,
who is practically what we call a psychic vampires,
yeah. Oh,
it's gonna
yeah,
be hard for you to basically disconnect from it. You
okay.
get drawn. So
Yeah. I have had experience with psychic vampires. In fact, when we speak about psychic vampires, there's some. So they are dark. There are people that are psychic vampires, and they're not conscious
mm,
of it.
yeah,
And
yeah, true.
I know because I used to be one when I was younger. I mean, I used to always seek people's attention, and I was
Mhm.
feeding of that attention always more, 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 because I didn't get it enough when I was a baby, when I was a kid.
Yeah,
And later I have looked within and I've been made aware of that by myself, and then I kind of went, oh, do you know what, I don't need people's attention anymore, I need my own attention.
mm,
And then I started to find my own energy
yes,
supply. But there are also energy vampires out there that are consciously sucking people's
yeah,
energy.
that's true.
These are dark. We call that
Mm,
I call that dark workers, or
yeah,
dark energy vampires. And then that's where we fall into the realm of Satanism and old school dark practices. Because when you look into occult magic
uh,
and occult tradition, there is the light and there is the darkness.
yeah,
And
there's yeah, yeah, that's
and
true.
as Carl Jung, Carl Jung,
Yeah,
who followed, who continued Sigmund Freud's
Sigmund
research,
Freud's theory. Yeah,
and he was saying, and that's something I had to learn a bit more in the recent years. That yes, when I had my spiritual awakening, I had that voice saying to me, "I'm a child of the light. I'm a light worker. I'm here to help people. I'm here to love myself and
mm,
love people and help people." But I also have traumas. People have casted their shadows onto me, and
yeah,
now their shadows are part of me and built
yeah,
my own shadow
yeah,
expression. And so, as Carl Jung, so eloquently says, that you need to do the shadow work. You need to shine the light of your consciousness in the inner realm
and
of
that's
your
yeah,
mind to spot your shadows and to see, whoa, this is one aspect of me. Whoa, that is a mistreated, scared, violent, angry, and unconscious aspect of myself that needs healing. And for that, I need to shine my light onto it to see
Mm.
that, oh, this is my shadow aspect, and I have to do the shadow work. And the shadow work is one of the most difficult thing that you can do in life. Most people run away. Most people run away from doing their shadow work because the ego steps in and goes,
Yeah,
no, 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 no,
yeah.
no.
I
Don't
mean,
go. It's not
when
interested.
when you do your shadow work, basically, one of the well, the hardest part is almost like because you have to confront it, you have to
Yes.
accept it, you have to acknowledge it.
Your demons have to be slain
Yeah,
somehow. You
yeah,
have to, you have to face them.
yeah. But yeah, you have to do it in a way that you don't allow yourself to be consumed
Yes.
again by that kind of anger. So, but yeah, it's really important that you basically um, meet it heads on. But like it's true, like you said, not a lot of people are actually successful with it. Not a lot of people are afraid of it. Yeah,
Yes.
it,
Well, you see, the thing is that because for a lot of people it's unconscious. You tell them about it and they don't want to listen
yeah.
to you. They get angry. They're
Or
like, no,
sometimes they don't want to know.
nobody wants to hear. Nobody wants to be handed a mirror to
Yeah,
see
that's true.
themselves. And I found, for me, I cheated a little bit. I've been through so much suffering, and my spiritual awakening. Usually spiritual awakening don't happen to everyone. Not everyone is ready in this lifetime to go through it.
Oh
And
yeah.
when, and when it happens generally at a later age. For me, it happened at age 25.
Mm.
So that was one of the biggest experience in my life. And then later I've been introduced by my ex-partner to plant medicine.
All right.
So I did a lot of shamanic work. I went to drink ayahuasca 3 times. I've worked with peyote. I've worked with mushrooms in a ceremonial way.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So with the shaman, doing that shadow work. And that's what. So when you are helped by a shaman, somebody that knows, and shamanism is thousands of years
Oh
old.
yeah, oh yeah.
And so that actually all religions are derived from shamanism. Shamanism was the very, very first root of all
Yes.
spiritual practice.
Mm.
And shamanism is about shadow work. And so I've had this amazing experience with the angels. I mean, if you can call them. I know I'm starting to speak about stuff that people might go, whoa, that guy is. But I do believe that there are energies out there,
Yes.
very benevolent energies that are
Yep.
here.
You've got benevolent, malevolent energies. They're
Yeah,
all there.
there are entities out there feeding of our life energy. You
Yeah,
can call them demons. They've been
that's true.
referred to as demons or dark entities.
That's
And
true.
then you got
That's
you
true.
got light, you got light entities, which are
That's true.
angels who are looking over you. But they
Eh,
don't do things for you. They don't make choices for you, and they do
Nah,
not
no, no.
influence your choices. They're only here when you've been through so much suffering and you
Yes.
feel you cannot go any further. That's when they step in.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
had them step in my life 2 or 3 times, 3 times. And I can speak about this, but not everybody can. I can't speak about this to everyone, because a lot of people think that you're crazy when you start to talk about
Uh,
stuff like that. But I've
yeah.
had.
It's. I mean, for people to even like become interested in it, they need to go through like they need to experience it at one point for them to open up, because otherwise some people will just basically dismiss it. I mean, and
Suffering,
yep,
suffering.
anything in nature always has a benevolent and a malevolent, a good
Yeah,
and a bad. Spirits, ghosts, they're the same.
yeah,
Elemental like dwarves, they're the
yeah.
same. So yeah,
Have you had experience with this? Have you had some experience that you could not explain in a rational way?
I have quite a I have quite a few.
Me
I have
too.
quite a few because
Me too.
yeah. So because yeah, I was even as a young child, I can sense
Yeah.
energies. I can sense. I
Yeah.
mean, I can see. I can. Yeah. And have gone through like a lot of weird experiences in my life as well.
Mm.
But I mean, like yourself, it. I don't actually talk about this a lot because not a lot of people would
Not a lot of
understand it
people understand this, and you know,
unless basically I get asked. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, even when I was in like when I was teaching in the university, I was one of the advisors of the UP Psychic Society.
Oh yeah, okay.
So yeah, I've managed to share them quite a lot of things, even like how to do remote viewing,
Yeah,
how to become clairvoyant, clairaudient, how to see aura and everything. I've done all those things, and I have experience becoming a medium as
yeah.
well. So
So
I've
you
I've had
do,
those.
do you know? Have you done some channeling work?
Yeah, I've done. I used to practice. I mean, things that is similar to like Reiki. We
Yeah,
used to call
yeah,
it like pranic healing.
yeah,
Um, it's just being called in different in sometimes in different ways in different languages, but
yeah,
they're the same. I did some remote viewing. I used to I used I used to do like, well, it's not really mind reading, but yeah, trying to look at other people's.
yeah,
I mean, apparently that particular skill is very lucrative here in the UK, but
yeah. I mean, look, I mean, you know, if there was not at least a bit of merit in that sort of thing, I don't think that the Russian and the American government and military would have
that's
spent so much time and money
that's
researching
true.
it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, we are psychic by nature, and I know that a lot of people
That's
don't want
true.
to. You know, some people are very stuck into left brain
Yeah,
thinking, scientific pseudo, scientism. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And they're like, no, no, this. If we don't have any proof, we cannot prove it. We cannot, But there are two aspects. I think that science and spirituality are two aspects of the same coin.
yeah. The same coin.
Even Nikola Tesla said it. He said the
Mm,
day when we start studying the non-physical phenomenon, the human race will make more progress in the space of 1 year than it has in the last 100 years.
that's very true. That's very true.
I'm a firm believer that we do, uh, you know, the DNA, the junk, what they call the junk DNA, is not junk DNA.
Yeah,
It's unactivated. It's dormant. It's
it's
dormant
just
DNA.
dormant. Yeah,
And the day when we learn to activate that DNA, the stuff that we're going to be able to do will be out of a science fiction movie.
exactly. That's true. That's true.
So I've just maybe got a last few questions to kind of slowly wrap it up, because
Okay.
it's quite a while. Actually, well, I'm not going to have the time to do all them questions. I've had quite a few questions, but that's another subject. I mean, there's two things that I consider myself to know a lot about. It's martial art, combative self-protection, and spirituality.
Mm.
Magic. That's my
We can talk a lot, a whole day
yeah,
on those subjects, man.
that's for sure. So, um, what was the spirit? Have you ever had any spiritual epiphany? Anything that really, really shifted your life and shifted your perspective, and changed your life to the best? Something like a realization, or something that happened, and then your life from one day to the next, you were a different person, and your life was changed, and you became a better person. And do you know what I mean? That sort of
Yeah,
moment, a very pivotal moment, a catalytic moment
a
in your
Catholic.
life.
Yeah, in your life. Yeah.
Mm.
Uh, I had actually two. There's one in the Philippines, and there's one that basically here in the UK. The first one back in the Philippines, that's when I became more aware of this gift.
Yes.
So I mean, I know basically I have all those stuff. I have all those things that I can do, but to be able to like really work it, to be able um to use it to be able to help people. Okay, because initially I was, because being raised by a uh, Catholic parents, and
Okay. Yep.
because my uncle is a Jesuit priest, um, they kind of like try to dampen all these things down.
Yeah.
Okay, And of course, at one point it created like a certain chaos or turmoil inside me. Okay, and that's why when one of the reasons why I took like silver mind control and becoming more I was trying to get into the journey of going back into the psychic realm and spirituality to be able to find myself
Yeah.
again and my purpose in life. So when I when I was like doing all this like the silver mind control, and the guy that basically did the silver mind control was also one of the prominent person in the Philippines when it comes to like psychic abilities and everything. So I through silver mind control I got to know him, and then I got into it. And in one of our sessions, that's when basically I it came into me that I I'm somebody
Yeah.
that is already like yourself. Your past life might be like a shaman. Um, I basically I kind of find out that I was like an Egyptian high priest,
Okay.
and I was into it. So that's why and kind of like part of my evolution, okay, is to be able to use my skills, my knowledge to help others. So that basically that was that became my point of me trying to like get myself better again in that aspect. But of course, at one point, I tied it up with my martial arts, with my helping athletes and everything, which was um, which was which was very productive even for myself because I knew I'm doing something that is good. And for me to be able to get like for example to have like a financial replacement for the things that I do, I I wasn't happy if I'm gonna take like quite a lot of money from it. Although sometimes people would say you should actually charge more because
Yeah.
this is like a very specialized type of like service that you do. But I said I don't feel right about it
Mm.
because I know I'm basically like improving their skills and their game and everything, but also like improving their quality of life because of teaching them how to handle certain things. Okay, so that became my first epiphany. So that's why even though I'm doing all these things for me to take a lot of money for the service that I do, I do get really troubled. Okay, so and I spend more time like trying to help people uh, get better. Okay, get their quality of life. It's almost like I know I'm kind of like paying for something. Some things that I did in my past. So
Absolutely, I'm the same. Karmic
yeah,
debt can follow you
karmic debt. Yeah, exactly. So
for future lifetimes for
so
sure.
yeah. So that was the first, and I know that if I do something that will take me back,
Buy back your karma.
so I do suffer from it. And there was a time that basically I I had a very bad um I that's when I got bronchopneumonia back
All right.
in.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like okay, so I really can't do this anymore. Okay, but during the time it was like I have to do this because I have a young family and I need to earn money as well. But once I got that, it's like nope, I can't do this anymore. I have to go back to what I used to do. So never charged. I mean, I only, it's almost like if they pay me, like a donation or something, that's
Yeah.
it. Allowance or something, that's it. But I don't really like
Yeah.
charge
I know
professionally.
what you mean.
So that's one. So then coming here, it was kind of like a struggle at one point, but learning it was like, okay, we're back into this kind of situation, but you have to learn how, you have to embrace basically the difference now of how you have to live your life
Yeah,
over here.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay. I was initially battling it, but eventually, yeah, you have to like just give into it. You just have to learn how to like accept and acknowledge basically
Hmm.
um yours the changes of situation now and everything. So again, yeah, through uh, doing all this and trying to get out the awakening. So allowed me to live much better. Allowed me to basically live happier.
You see, that's that's funny. In Buddhism, they speak about service to others or the practice of kindness, the practice of generosity,
Yeah.
where you are actually uh, being benevolent in your help to others. And like you say, I do believe, and it's funny that you mentioned it because for a long time I've asked myself, why me? Why am I suffering so much? What did I do? Why this? Why am I going through so much suffering? And then it got to me actually by working with peyote one day that I've my past life I have been a warrior many times, by the way, and that's why that's how martial arts, come
Yeah.
easy to me.
Yeah.
And I have been a soldier following orders, which is something that I have refused in this lifetime to do.
Mm,
My father, my a lot of men in my family are soldiers, and I grew up around soldiers. I mean, my education was pretty much.
yeah.
Uh, but when I was younger, I wanted to join my father's footstep and go in the French Foreign Legion. You know what I mean? But I changed my mind first of all because I've always had a problem with authority, so that wouldn't have worked. And the second thing is, I know the type of people running the world. I'm not putting my mindset and skill set to the service of these crazy people. Do you know what I mean? And I said, I will not serve. I will not become a soldier and follow orders. I will not become an order follower. I
Mm,
will be a moral man with a moral compass. And so I realized that I did something really really bad in my previous lives. I've hurt people, I've took lives. I remember pretty much. I can almost remember it. I can feel it, and I had to do some ancestral healing.
mm.
Oh, and that's what I did with peyote. Peyote helped me a lot. Peyote is a cactus. It's a special.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I worked with peyote and I did some ancestral healing where I had a big round table and I visualized all this in my head. And I was being instructed by the spirit of peyote. And I had this round table and I was sitting at one side of that table, and on the other side of me was my shadow self, my ego, my shadow aspect that was trying to make things really difficult for me, but I was trying not to listen to it. And on the left side of the table, I had all the people, all the entities that I have ever been in my past lives. They were all sitting there, all of them that done bad things. They
Yeah.
were all sitting on one side, one half of the table, and on the other side of the table was all the people in my previous lifetime that I've wronged or that I've killed, that I've all the
Yeah.
bad stuff that I did. And I had to first of all, I tell you what, I forgot the first part. The first part was that I invited all the people that hurt me in my
Mm,
previous lifetimes and that I've cursed in my previous lifetime. I've cursed them. I've cursed. I said, you will pay for this. Even in your future lifetime, you will pay for this, this and that. I invited all these people here that I've cursed, people that wronged me in my previous lives, and I released them. I forgave them, all of them. I had to forgive
that's
them. So,
important. Yes.
guys, I don't know what you did to me. It was a very long time ago. I cannot remember in this lifetime. But whatever you did to me, I understand the suffering of not being able to live your life because of your previous deed.
Mm,
I forgive you. I forgive you. I let you go. I let you go. Whatever curse I've put on you, I lift it.
mm.
You're free to go. You're free to live your life. And I did this. That's the first thing that I did. And then I invited all the people that I have wronged in my previous lifetime, and I asked for forgiveness. And a lot of them forgave me, and some of them didn't. But a lot of them forgave me, and that was a massive weight lifted off
Of
my
course.
shoulders. The
Of course.
next day was I was like it's like I don't even know how to explain its energy. It's the weight of energy. It's the karmic energy that's
Yeah.
eating your
Yeah.
energy field. And it was gone. It was like
Yeah.
I was feeling like three quarters lighter in
Mm.
energy wise,
Yeah.
energetically speaking,
Yeah.
than I was the day before. But there were still some entities that didn't want to forgive me. So I must have done really, really bad things in my previous life. And I know that I come from we in our cycle of reincarnation, we go towards the light, towards the
Go to dark. Yep.
light,
We get into that cycle.
and we've been doing this forever and ever and
Mm.
ever. And I believe that we human beings are we are a hybrid between angels and demons, and we choose with our choice, with the free will, we choose who we want to become.
Yeah.
And in our previous lifetime, if we have a very, very dark age,
Yeah.
where in that age we've been doing really bad things and we've explored, experienced the dark side, the
Yeah. We
darkness,
have to go through that.
we had to go through that in order to get the punishment, in order to feel how it feels like to be on the
Yeah.
receiving end of it, in
That's true.
order for us to go, right, okay,
Yeah.
I get it now. I get it now, and I'm ready to move on. So let me forgive the people that wronged me, and let me
Mm.
ask for forgiveness and see where it leads me. And
Yeah.
so that ancestral healing is something, when you have a karmic debt, when you have a very difficult life, if you ask yourself why you keep getting shit, why people giving you shit all the time, why you keep getting in situation and where you suffer, you're misunderstood, people always make you suffer when you feel like you've not done anything wrong in this lifetime.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
you
Mm.
need to you need to look at
That,
ancestral
yeah, exactly. That's true. And yeah, it's really important that you acknowledge that, and forgiveness is actually the first thing. If you want people to forgive you, you have to learn how to forgive yourself
forgiveness
as
is an attribute of the strong. There's no doubt
exactly.
about that. And sometimes you have to forgive people not because they deserve it. You have to forgive them for you, so
Yeah.
that you can move on, so that you
Yes.
can let go.
Exactly.
The
That's very
concept
true.
of letting go is one
That's
of the
very true.
important practice.
And it's funny how sometimes your past life crops up in your dream,
Yes.
and it's like, why do I keep on dreaming this? And it's very vivid,
Mm,
and it's happening a lot of times.
yeah.
Then suddenly, until somebody points out to you, well, that was your past life, and you're
Well,
reliving
well,
it again.
you know,
Something must have triggered it for
yeah,
you to relive it.
yeah. I'd love to do a past life regression with a specialist, like, because there are people out there that do past life regression.
Yeah,
That would be very interesting to do that when I can afford it.
yeah. I mean, I haven't done that for a long time. I used to do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I one of the when I was teaching in the university, one of the things that I do during my pastime
Mm,
is to help my students get through certain emotional turmoil
traumas.
inside,
Hmm.
problems. I've managed to help them actually solve certain problems by doing past life regression.
Okay.
Like there was one student of mine who I've met I met her father. He is a very good man,
Mm,
and you can see the way she speaks of her dad, of her father. He is very good, but for some reason she can't get along with him.
mm,
And even the mom actually says it. So like, yeah, they have a very odd relationship as father and daughter. And so at one point, she got desperate and asked me. She kind of like um, learned from somebody else that I do past life regression.
yeah.
So asked me to do it, and found out that she has issues when with her past lives. Three of the past lives that we managed to get to or jump to were basically scenarios wherein she was left by her dad.
Yeah.
So that those basically build that kind of trust issues with her current dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, she was really like, he didn't do anything wrong to me, but
Yeah.
I can't understand why I can't have that kind of like emotional connection with him. So we did that, and like what you did, basically went through that stage of like cleansing, forgiving
Yeah.
the three dads in her past life.
Yeah.
Um, and then after that, her she she had a very
Good
she had a
relation.
different connection with her father, and she both the parents have been grateful to
Mm.
me, because they were like professors in the university as well. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
good.
so yeah, but I haven't done that for a long time.
This is like trapped energy
Yes,
following you in your,
yes,
because when you incarnate in a new body, you still have memories. Your
yes,
soul
you
still
do.
retains memories, and these
That's part
memories,
of your long-term consciousness, your unconsciousness, and yeah, unconscious thoughts. Yeah.
they manifest into the body as well.
Mm.
So when they speak about emotions are energy in motion inside the
Yeah.
body, and you can feel the energy moving inside you. That's what emotions are.
Yes, they are.
When
Yeah.
you're angry, you can feel it here in the solar plexus or below, the belly. It's like you can feel where the energy is coming. If obviously, if you got some sort of self-awareness, awareness of your body,
Mm.
you can actually travel in there with your consciousness,
Yeah.
travel inside your body. That's
Mm.
I'm aware of this. It's very difficult to do, like that. But sometimes it's funny because sometimes I manage to do things. I just do them. I don't know how I'm doing them. I just do them, and then I try to do them again, and I can't
Yeah.
because I did them from a right brain perspective on its own, and the right brain knows everything how to do it. The left brain is the analytic brain that
Yeah,
tells
the logical thinker.
you how to do it. And when you try to remember how to do it, you can't remember because
Mm.
you're not using the right part of your brain to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
It has to be spontaneous.
It has to be.
It has.
Yeah.
Let's finish this interview with two
All
questions.
right. Okay.
If you had any advice to give to the younger generation, what would it be?
Okay. Um, Learn to become aware of yourself. Okay. That is talking. That's basically your mind, your emotions, and your body. Learn to acknowledge who you are
Yeah.
in order for you to thrive and to become successful. That's that's basically my thing for the younger generation, because it's by knowing and acknowledging who you are
Yeah.
that will make you anchor yourself to whatever core values you've got.
Mm,
Otherwise, people will it will make it easier for people to manipulate you
yeah.
if you don't know yourself, if you don't accept yourself, if you're not aware of yourself, if you're not aware of your core values.
Yeah.
And especially these days, it's easy to be manipulated. Social media
Yes.
alone, peer
Oh,
pressure.
yeah. Yeah.
So, eh, and if you allow yourself to be manipulated by people, you are going to grow old unhappy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you have to learn how to love yourself. You have to learn how to become aware of yourself.
Yes.
Okay, that's the only way for you to become to be more productive, to be more to be a positive energy in the
Mm-hmm.
society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great advice, man. Last question. If you had the power to change the world in any way that you could,
All
what would
right.
what would you do? What would you change?
Okay. It's for me to be able, uh, if I can change something that is going to be for humanity or for people
Yeah.
to discover themselves, to discover their humanity
Yeah.
and to use it in a more positive way, because a lot of things that we experience these days, it's because people have lost touch of our humanity. That's why we become oblivious to things. That's why we become aggressive. That's
Yeah.
why we sometimes we hate ourselves. It's
Yeah.
because we have lost touch with our humanity. with who we really are. So go back to basic, okay, all right, and basically that will allow you to become a positive, yeah, become a fast positive force in this world. So yeah,
Brilliant, brilliant. You're a good man. You're a good guy, man. You're one of
thank
the
you,
kind souls out there. It's great. It was great to have a conversation with you, man. It was a great interview. Um,
thank
I'm,
you for having me.
oh man, thank you for being here, man. And hopefully at some point in the future we can do that again. Dig even a bit
Yeah,
deeper into the spiritual aspect of things. And
I'm game.
yeah, yeah, but it's good. I like that mentality, and I hope that I hope that people that were watching enjoyed the conversation, that it inspired them to to become better people, and that's really what the podcast is about as well. Not only to teach people how to defend themselves, how to fight, and talking about violence, which we are
Mm,
going to speak a lot about violence and violence prevention and all that stuff on that podcast. But I also really like to speak about personal development and spirituality because this helps people. I know what suffering is, and I don't want anyone to feel that suffering. If I can leave a positive imprint in this
mm,
world by doing a few podcasts, and even if you manage to inspire one person,
that is
mission,
enough.
mission accomplished.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
What you're doing good, what you're doing, man, is really good. Because, I mean, I know martial arts is also like about managing to protect yourself, defend yourself, but
Yeah,
it's also developing yourself. It's also for your own well-being. You need to live a balanced life.
of course.
Anybody would you basically goes into martial art only thinking about violence will end up violent themselves. So it's gonna be a lot of turmoil in you. There's gonna be a lot of chaos inside you. You
Well,
learn,
I'll be honest with you. I For a long time I have been victim of this inner violence, and only recently. And I'll be very honest with you. I've been a spiritual guy now for more than 10 years, since 2012. Since I've had all these
yeah,
amazing things happening to me. But it's only about a week ago that I've really, really decided to give up the violence inside, the inner violence, because for the external war to end, the inner
you
war
need to
must
start. Yeah,
happen first. And that is a very that you and for that you need to learn to let go of the thing that you fear to lose the most, which is your life.
yeah, that's
And
true.
if I could give my life so that the whole planet could live a happy ever after, I think I'd do it.
Of course, no doubt about it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'll speak to you soon, brother.
Take it easy, man.
Take it easy. See you later, Tom.
See you later.
Bye bye.